Preparing. There we go. Yes. All right. We are golden. And notification on and beautiful. I think we should be live streaming. Yes, we are. Okay. So I guess we are okay, guys. Recording, live streaming. Everybody here. Everybody's happy. Lovely smiles for everyone. We love you all. Thank you. Thank you for waiting a couple minutes here, guys. Technical difficulties. We are live streaming everywhere here, and the world sees us. So, well, at least Seth and I here. So, all right, guys. Yeah. So, if you are new to our Tuesday meditations, we hold these every 2 weeks, guys. We've been doing these since April 2023. So, all of our recordings and everything you can find over at YouTube. Just look up Seth Leaf Presensky and go under the live section. Some of them might actually be under the video section, but you'll find the library, which yeah, we've been doing like 2.5 years almost now. Um, we originally began doing these every single week, and just recently, the past couple of months, we're doing these every 2 weeks. So today's August 12th, and the next one is going to be 2 weeks from now. So, like I said, yeah, if you are new here, we welcome everyone. So please uh, like, share, subscribe, share this out to anyone you could think can benefit from these coherence meditations. Everybody's invited over here on Zoom where we do our live sessions, but we also restream out to Facebook and YouTube. You're more than welcome to join us there. Love to see you over here on a live Zoom. Probably about a 15-second delay over to Facebook and YouTube. And yeah, every 2 weeks we do have a title. So if you do have a title or anything that you have in mind that you'd like to put in the queue, just reach out to Seth on Facebook or even comment down below on the YouTube channel on the video, and we'll try to put it into the queue. Today's title is Creating and Sustaining Emotional Intelligence in a World with Very Little of It. So I'm going to just hand it over to you. Oh, really quick, guys. Yeah, I forgot to do this a couple weeks ago, but I actually have two hockey puck speakers right here that I use on Bluetooth, and I have some I have some background music or frequency music, which I will share the QR code right here if you want to just use your phone, get that QR code, and you're welcome to use my playlist to play some frequency music in the background. I feel it helps. We've got some reports that it's helped, and yeah. So, what is going on, Seth? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, lots going on
You're telling me.
personally, collectively. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard from anybody who's like, everything's great, you know? It seems like we're being put through the fires, tested,
Everywhere.
being in the front of everything that we don't want to face, but are being made to. So, yes, that's pretty much it. And that's why I thought tonight this topic of emotional intelligence, because it's a huge topic and there's so many different levels to it. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had a lot of testing, I guess you could say, experiencing different emotional states, and I mean, it goes on and on. There's so many different types of emotional pain or emotional disorder. And I think for the most part, as these beings that we are in these bodies, I think overall most of us have been so wait, we've been so like our senses, our ability to feel has just gotten totally rocked, and our sensitivities are starting to come back. Desensitized. Sorry, I don't know why it's the word I was going to say. I've seen so many people go through so much things that would overwhelm anybody, and they don't know how to feel it. They don't know how to be at peace with it. And you can, I mean, this goes on and on. But the thing about bypassing, we call it, or whatever, not facing your emotional pain, there becomes a collective pain body that we are all connected to. And that for most of us, the people who are struggling personally are going through a lot. But the people who aren't struggling personally are being made, I guess you could say, to face this emotional pain body. And there's been so many times in my life where, I'm just like so happy to be alive and going through all that. And then all of a sudden you feel it's like a collective debt, you could say. Just like all these nations that we're in all around the world, people are struggling, and all these institutional and governmental systems are in debt. And so that's how it plays out in the world here. But to feel this collective emotional pain body is a whole other level. And I'm saying that because it comes right down to us personally, individually. It's not like you don't have to live in fear of facing that. But when we prioritize what matters most, which for me personally, it's been my relationship to, whether you call it the divine or it's this creative force that is in every one of us, that's priority. And I tried to neglect that responsibility for a long time. And because of that, I've had a lot of pushback and a lot of issues, a lot of really difficult things. But when the dust clears and you realize that, you know what? I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm going to trust life unconditionally. And in those moments of surrender, like everything's overwhelming. We've been so desensitized that it's hard to feel, but now we're being made to feel it. And those who are truly making this prioritized relationship to life itself, in this case, what's causing the heart to beat, what's allowing everything to be going on. Our bodies, they are temples, they are marvels of nature. And when you surrender, you're going through something so difficult and you surrender, then somehow there's a guiding force and it's available to everybody. And in times when I wanted to die through some of the things that I was going through, I didn't actually want to die, but it felt like, you know what? Dying would be easier than having to continue facing this. And so all of this stuff brings somebody, an individual, back to the point where when you trust life, when things are just going so out of control, so chaotic, but you somehow just let go, you let it be what it is, you find that place of neutrality within you, the place where you're able to be at peace with something that's not peaceful. Uh, Wait, my microphone, Greg?
Yeah, just move it a little bit closer or something. There you go.
How about that?
No,
It's
you're
not.
still sounding a little bit faint. Try it.
Well,
Try it
I
again.
won't. No one's gonna need to see my face soon anyway. After I'm done talking, I'll do the meditation. But you can hear me, right?
You can hear you, but it's sounding a little bit faint.
How about? like that.
No.
Weird.
Try it again.
I know
There
technical.
you go. Right there. You just had
Okay,
it.
perfect.
All right. Like bunny rabbit ears and an antenna. Just stay where you are.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Anyway, all that, whatever made sense to you, what I just said, or what didn't, it all comes back down to life, to what's causing our heart to beat, to what it is that's literally orchestrating all of these complex systems within us in our body. When you surrender to that, to what you already are, then suddenly you're not afraid anymore. You're not stressing out like most people do most of their lives, surprisingly. You get to a place where you're just like, I'm going to trust it, I'm going to go with it. And in that surrender, this emotional intelligence just becomes self evident because our natural state of being isn't stress all day, every day. It's not who we are, it's not what we are. It's like that for so many people because as a species, we are obviously out of tune with reality, with nature. I'm not talking about just the earth. Nature includes everything, space, what's in us. That is what's really going on. And when you surrender to all of that, then even all this, like this huge thing of all these different galaxies and solar systems, you feel so in tune with that because that is the predominant reality. And the things that we face individually, personally, are things that really try to help us accept it all, to be at peace with it all. And that's where this emotional intelligence just becomes, it's always there. And yeah, I like to play, I get loud, and people think that I'm just sitting here meditating all day. It's you learn to love life no matter how difficult it is, no matter what you're going through. And it's that point, it's where you're on the tipping point of you're so stressed out, you can't deal with it, and I surrender. And eventually, everything starts making sense because we are so like, this energy that's in us that's causing the heart to beat, that's what we are. It's what's really happening. And yet we have people everywhere totally disconnected from it. So let's get into this. And if you guys really, really sense what's happening within yourself while we do this, then the difficult things in life, they start being more manageable. You have less projected anxiety or fear. And it's almost like you're welcoming the things that most are afraid of. Because, like I was just saying, we are this profound energy that isn't addicted to stress. It's not who we are, it's not what we are. But it takes all of this stress, all of this heartache, all of the things that cause our emotions and feelings to just go out all over the place and we just can't deal with ourselves. But when we get in peace, we get in tune, that's where our power is. And it doesn't take much to tune into it when you're going through intense things. So, wherever you are, just get comfortable. You can sit down, you can lay down, whatever's most comfortable to you. And all the things that I was just rambling about, it's almost like disjointed and not connected and kind of made sense and it kind of didn't. That's what's happening in our world today. That is actually, for so many of us, the relationship that we have with our own life, with this invisible, miraculous energy that is, even now, science, all the things that people put so much faith into. There still are no scientists who can explain what consciousness is. None. They have all these other things figured out, but no one has consciousness figured out. And that's such a blessing. So just get calm. Slow your breathing. And allow the parts of you that feel like they're all over the place. Just let go of it. And because consciousness is still this huge unknown, it's a gift because when we get in tune with this part of us, that becomes our domain. There's no scientist, there's no anybody who can say what you are, what your consciousness is. Your relationship to your life is sacred. And even though the world teaches us not to pay attention to that, it doesn't matter because we individually are on the collective edge of coming to terms with what we are, with what consciousness is. And though it can be difficult to make sense of that when we're stressed out or we're watching things in the world around us and we feel afraid, it's okay to feel that. It's okay to be stressed out. But the more you allow yourself to feel, even the things you don't want to feel at first, the more you allow yourself to feel that stuff, the sooner it comes back to you. The stability, the memories of what it's like to be like a child and loving life experiences. And so choosing to feel and to feel thoroughly, to feel openly, all the things that most don't want to feel are allowing us to feel into it and then beyond it. And what that means is that most people feel stuck. They feel emotionally discombobulated. But that's a lack of internal heart and brain, whole body, whole soul or life force coherence. That's really what's going on. Yet hardly anybody knows that part of themselves. But that's changing because we're all being made to feel, and we can cry. We can live in a cathartic state and feeling all the things that so many others are going through. Those who don't have privilege are going through so much. And those of us who are more privileged, not just because of where we live in the world, but those of us who do have the ability to choose to be at peace and learn how to sustain that. It's almost like it's a sacred responsibility for those who can do that. Because in war-torn places around the world, most people aren't able to do that because they're living in a state of fear, of extreme stress. And if we can make peace with life within ourselves, then it allows us to observe collective suffering, families living in areas that are just when we can get into that place of neutrality. And it doesn't mean being perfect. There really is no such thing. Or you could say it's imperfectly perfect. It doesn't matter because everything is two sides working together, cyclic as a cycle. It's actually like a spiral. Love and light, need, fear, and darkness, because they're the parts of these great cycles that not only is it happening here in our lives, different cycles we go through, but it goes much deeper than that. Just like we experience different cycles in our life, so too does this energy inside of us. It's causing the heart to beat. That's helping keep all these incredible and very complex systems of our body. It's doing all of that, whether we're aware of it or not. But ultimately, we are that. We aren't just who we think we are. We are also the unknown, subconscious, the non-conscious. We are all of that. We're just having a brief little moment amidst these great cycles that are found everywhere, everywhere in the world around us, everywhere inside of us. And no matter what you're going through, instead of just viewing reality through this little, tiny, narrow vision type of perspective, you can choose to open up that lens of perception. And when you do that, and you come to terms with knowing that even though you are who you think you are, your personality, your self-identity, you are that. And at the same time, that is such a small part of who and what we all are. And in surrendering to that and what it might mean and who you think you are in relation to this huge non-conscious void that so few can even imagine. But even if we can't imagine it, it is still what we are. And these lives are such a blink of an eye as far as the life cycles of us in these bodies are. And so when those of us who can realize that, who can choose to make peace, not only with ourselves, but with everything in the world around us, there is at all times this greater reality that we are temporarily unconscious of. It's always there with us, in us. And when the going gets tough and you feel like you just can't process anymore pain and suffering, and that even in such a state of being totally desensitized, don't be afraid of your ability to feel. Because most don't want to feel. And that applies to, seems like it applies to almost everybody. But on the other side of our fear and the darkness within us and around us, the less attached we can be to any outcome that we would choose for ourselves. When we can be detached only to just surrender, then all of that dark fear, all of these different states that we actually do need, but it's not even remotely our power, you could say. Because on the other side of fear and darkness is those greater forces of love, of the light of our consciousness, to be aware is to be in balance with all these parts of you. So just allow yourself to be at peace right now. and we're doing this together. And so you're not alone. We actually have never been alone. But even if it feels lonely, you feel like you're going things that others couldn't understand. You feel like you're totally isolated. But it's in the process of trusting that, making peace with your loneliness, with all the challenges that you face. In surrendering to that is when that light consciousness and our remembrance of what love truly is, that's when all of that starts coming back. And love that we feel for others, yeah, that's love. But it's really just a tiny little emanation or a side effect of what love really is. And what is it? It's impossible to say with words, but at the same time, we already are it. Love is these great creative forces that are so powerful. They not only gave us life, the nature of what reality is, inner nature. Again, we might not feel all this stuff because most of us have been through a lot. And that sense of just being in stress, our thoughts are racing, and most people don't want to face that. And that's why we desense ourselves. And the reality is that our sensitivities are far more powerful than we even know consciously. But in that vast emptiness, that void of our non-conscious self, that's where that knowing is. That's where that part of us that knows these powerful creative forces that give life and destroy it And when we can get in the middle between those two forces, then suddenly we're not in chaos and fear most of the time. When we create that balance of our sensitivities and realizing that going out of that balance is what creates chaos. And in realizing that chaos is simply a byproduct, a side effect of us being stressed out and afraid. When we get ourselves balanced into the polarities of up and down, light and dark, love and fear, and way beyond all these things that we try to label with our words. When we can see beyond all of that, and that no matter what is happening in the world, we can tune in or activate or inquire what might be hidden inside of us, in the non-conscious self. You can literally talk to that part of yourself. Or you don't even need to use words. You're simply just coming to terms with the realization that who you think you are is just a tiny little bit of you in your totality, of you in a greater state where conscious and non-conscious become totally at the forefront of your awareness. When you build a bridge between what you think you know and what you don't know, then all these new sensitivities start to activate. The gray matter, DNA, junk DNA, they even call it. It's not junk. It's you. It's just that you have to consciously activate it to remember it. And when you do that, no matter how long it takes, when you make peace with all the intensity, all the up and down. That brings conscious balance to your own inner nature. And in that remembrance of what it's like to feel whole, to remember your origins, to begin to consciously come to terms with just how intelligent we are. And that all this energy that's inside of us, keeping us alive, working systems of our body, whether we're awake or asleep, when we begin to find the balance between all we know and all that we do know, that's where our emotional intelligence resides. And it doesn't mean that you need to evolve right this moment. But the more that you start prioritizing the part of you that can choose, the more you begin to form a relationship with this invisible superintelligence that is life, that it's not just static energy, it's energy that knows exactly what it's doing. We just forgot temporarily. But we are that super intelligence. And that helps us to get into and sustain what we call emotional intelligence. And in this example, emotional intelligence is kind of like just being okay with no matter what is happening. And it's about being mature enough to know that there are things you can't change in the world around you, but you can choose to change the way you perceive it. So just keep being really relaxed, breathing slower and deeper. Even just sitting down, being relaxed, breathing slow. If we could see all of the neural activity that's being created in our respiratory system just from inhaling and exhaling. We may not see it or sense it, but we know that it's happening. And simply choosing to tune in to this great intelligence that's already happening in our bodies. That's where this balance begins to happen. And we learn to break that addiction to fear and stress. And then when people we love or people that we don't even know who are going through things that we can't even imagine, by the light of our own consciousness, we can view them with compassion, empathy, all of these higher virtue states, emotional states, you could call them. And you bring balance by just choosing to bring your awareness into what you already know is happening. We're not talking about maybes. Maybes exist in the world around us. And it might be true, it might not be. We might think we know what it is, or we don't know. That's all external. Because what we do know is that there is great innate intelligence animating these bodies, giving life and its ability to operate these complex, powerful, temple-like states of being. Though we might not feel like we consciously know this part of us, it's okay if we think that. But again, what we do know is that we are alive. We're in these bodies, and whatever is causing these bodies to operate, no matter what you believe, any religion or not, those are choices. And if they help you, that's amazing. But again, beyond stories, beyond organized anything in the world around us, we've already got an organization inside of us. Reality is happening for us, to us. And the more balanced you can be, the more those old addictions to fear break away or unhook themselves from you, then the more you're able to know all of these non-conscious states of being, which actually are consciousness. So as you're relaxed, as you're breathing slower and deeper, just consider what we've been sharing, and that aside from all the stories we hear around us, rather than getting all caught up in that, we choose to be discerning, to realize that when we have balance, we can be very healing, powerful. We can have a therapeutic effect on all the systems in our bodies. And when that balance is created and you get good at sustaining it, which is actually not hard, then others will feel you. And ultimately, it doesn't matter or not, either way. Your relationship to this part of yourself, that's what's going on. That part of your awareness was here with each of us as we were babies. The awareness was there, but there weren't any stories. There's just this joy of feeling vibrant and alive. And that part of us never went away. We just accidentally pushed it aside without even realizing it, because that's simply what we were taught to do. And so now we're choosing to relearn, to know and remember the parts of us that aren't wonky and discombobulated or disjointed. We're choosing to know ourselves as connected. And the more we do that, then all of these chaotic states have a way of detoxing, the more you realize this creative marvel is what you are, the more it influences who you are. And it's so weird because when you're in it, you're going to remember it. And you're going to ask yourself, how could I have ever forgotten that? But it's in that forgetting that we can learn to reconnect, to allow it all to just form into such grace and beauty, power and realization, and prioritize this relationship to our life. And then realizing the relationships we share with others around us have the potential to be real love, that powerful, creative love. And before we bring this to a close, just consider what it would feel like if you are already connected, meaning instead of this little tiny part of you that's conscious, you've chosen to integrate it into this huge part of you that we're all temporarily forgetting. And who would you be when all of that is synced up? What would you do? Because once you do find the ability to have greater memory of what you already know, but that you have forgotten, imagine what you could do. Imagine how you could serve or help others. Because no matter what, as many of us as there is, even though we share way more in common than not, but even still, amongst all of that predominant knowing how interconnected we are to everything from the inside of our bodies out, even though all that interconnectedness exists, we have that beautiful openness of like fingerprints, meaning we all have a unique sense of self that can express itself however you might choose to do that. And we celebrate our connectedness, and we open our hearts to what is unique to others' ways of perceiving and expressing their own unique parts of themselves. Instead of being afraid of how unique everybody is amidst all this connection, that helps us grow. And instead of all the judgment, we turn it into openness, empathy, compassion, all of that. And so I want to ask everybody to feel others who you love or that are struggling. And instead of trying to change them, instead do your best to break the habits of what we believe others are like. Simply choose to perceive them and their effect on you. Choose to see it differently. Because that's how we create freedom. That's where our health is. So love others. Love the way that you perceive them or anything. And learn how to sustain that. To enjoy the little things like breathing or touching. Little things like that. When you learn how to take care of the little things, somehow the big things take care of themselves on their own. So whatever it is that you got out of being here with us as a group tonight, amplify the way you perceive it and learn how to trust it. And so I have friends that are going through a lot. And I know I've asked a lot of people to pray for them, and they are. Let's keep doing that. And choose not to change them, but to change the way that you perceive them. And so now bring your awareness back into your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, or you can just hang up and keep going. But remember, that's it. Use discernment rather than getting caught up in what might be happening. Focus on what is happening, because that's where change originates. And when you guys are ready, you can just take your fingers and start tapping gently the top of your forehead, down through your face. And give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah. Perfect. Literally and metaphorically perfect. Greg, were you prepared for that or
I just got my
That's
back
awesome.
scratcher here.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Greg.
All right.
Thank you, everybody else.
Yep.
Greg made a
Thank you,
whole
everyone.
video for me so that I can
Yeah.
do these on the Tuesdays that he can't do them. We're together. We're going to do it every other Tuesday, and I've just been preparing to do a lot.
Yep. There will be some weeks that I am unavailable, so you will have to take it over. You betcha. You betcha. Yeah, no, I was pretty deep with these things too, so that was awesome. So thank you very much, Seth. And thank you everyone for attending. And we will see everyone in 2 weeks. And don't forget, I'mAwakeNowWhat.com. That's where to find Seth. And also on Facebook, Facebook.com/groups/ I'm awake. Now what?
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, have a great rest of the week, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye,
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.